Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon and good morning, wherever you may be. I'm still in Switzerland, as you can see. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. Let me know, type 1 to let me know if the sound is okay. Yeah. Oh, great, great. Nice to see everyone. Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I haven't been that busy, but it's just yeah, it's nice to be going home as well. I had a very nice time here in Switzerland. Saw my sisters, my mom, my brother-in-law, my nephew. It was really good. But I also miss home now. I miss Billy and my wife. So there you go. Yeah, Billy's not here. I took one of his cousins out today for a walk this afternoon. It was a pretty nice day here. So who have we got? We got Miles. We got Alan Zippelman, Belly Dance Arabia. We've got Alain Roy, Bonjour de Montréal, he says. Bobby Critter, Brady Girding, Elias Jones. Freedom and virtue are two sides of the same coin. You cannot have one without the other. I agree. Mark Volker. Hi, Mark. John Norris. Cheers from Alaska. Alaska pets to Billy. T4 Parts. Good evening, T4 Parts. Music lover forever. Remember a present for Billy. Yeah, he's all right. He's gonna get things. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the season here, because this is a resort, like a ski resort area, and it's also in the summer. It's a really nice place to hike, to do other things, and whitewater rafting and all that. Even a golf course around here. But now the ski season, basically, this is the last week, and this hotel here is a small hotel. And actually, I'm the only one in the hotel right now. My sister's picking me up tomorrow morning. She's taking me to the bigger hotel for breakfast, and then she's gonna drive me to the train station. I should be home tomorrow afternoon around 5 or 6 London time. I might do a video tomorrow evening, but I think unfortunately tomorrow I'm not going to make a video because I'm leaving quite early here, and but I think we can do without a video one day, and we'll get back on to things on Tuesday. Stuart Ogilvie says bye physical. I agree. That's the only way. It's gonna eventually they're gonna lose control of the paper game, the bankers, because paper is not real. It's not reality. John Bethia, Mario, we that is Billy who you really miss. Yeah. Well, I miss Billy. I miss my wife as well, of course. Dave Martin from Cornwall. Teague Materi, Super Mario, love the handle. That handle. Oh, okay. Good. Thank you. Toblerone. I try to stay off the sweets. Yeah, and chocolates. I mean, no, I haven't had any Toblerone, but I had dinner yesterday with my brother-in-law. My sister goes to bed really early, and he's running a hotel, and he was quite busy, but we had dinner together. We had Wiener Schnitzel with vegetables, and then we had a really nice ice cream, and he put some vinegar on it, like vanilla ice cream, and it was really good. So, and an interesting story I'll tell you. He had last night. This guy came from Bern with his son to deliver some wines for the hotel and the restaurant, and after we finished dinner, and we watched the rugby as well. I don't usually watch rugby, but he had France and England on. Uh, After it was finished, this guy from Bern drove me back to this hotel because we've had a couple of glasses, and he was leading anyway back to Bern. And I didn't know the guy very well. I was sitting in front with him, and I said, I haven't been here for 2.5 years because of COVID. I didn't have, the thing. And he said, I haven't had it either. So there's a lot of people here in Switzerland that are contrarians. That's what my sister says. You're probably popular here because there's contrarians here too. So yeah, there is talk about, the BIS being in Switzerland, Klaus Schwab, but that's completely different. When you meet the real people here, they're not like, they don't all even know about the WEF or the BIS. So just thought I'd put that out there. Oh yeah, Billy has been definitely looked after, Andrew. No problem, don't worry. Jimmy Hat, yeah, I'm enjoying this time. Yeah, it's really nice just to see my family and just be together here with them. So there you go. Gigo, what if it doesn't return to the world and we get a CBDC, global digital authoritarianism? Will there be any reason to continue as a species? Well, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. I think they are trying to bring in this kind of digital prison CBDC, but I'm not sure they'll succeed. And even if they do, you can still, put a lot of your stuff outside the system. We might have to use it, but it doesn't mean that they can control us. So it's very hard to say about CBDC, but I'm not sure if it will work unless they back it with something like gold or silver, and I don't see them doing that. Did I buy a new watch? No, I haven't bought a new watch. I still have my old Explorer 2. The interesting thing was seeing my nephew again as well. He's 29, and he's very, he's working for a big insurance company now, and he was taking his brokerage exams these last few days. And yeah, he's not silly, and he likes watches as well, like I do. So that was good to see him again. Did you buy a new watch? T4 Parts asks. No, no, I haven't bought a new watch. Maneko, you missed some nice UK weather. Yeah, my wife told me that she because she didn't come because she had to look after her mom. Her mom is not, she's 90, and she's going to go in a home soon. And she looked after Billy, and she said it was really nice. And I see that the weather next week is going to be very nice as well. Gianfranco Bergagna, what does your friend Rafi say about the war that his brother Zelensky planned on Ukraine people's shoulder? It's nice to have fun with someone else. I'm not sure Rafi sees Zelensky as his brother, but Rafi did a video yesterday with another guy I hadn't heard of before, and they speak about Russia and Ukraine. I recommend you watch that on his channel. So I think the guy he had on was spot on about what's going on there. So 9 o'clock, well, it's 9 o'clock here in Switzerland. I think Switzerland and the UK, we move our clocks forward next, I think it's next Saturday, Saturday to Sunday. So we are 5 hours ahead of the East Coast in the US. Usually Switzerland is 6 hours ahead. So yeah, the title of the live stream today is the savings function has been destroyed, says Bill Gross, the original bond king. And is this because I think Bill Gross is right about everything? No, but I'm going to come to this in a minute. There's an article in the FT in which Bill Gross talks about how he doesn't think the Fed can raise rates that much without really wrecking the whole US economy. And I agree with him on that. So we'll look at that in a minute. Just want to relax a little bit today, and I'll answer as many questions as possible. So Rumpelstiltskin, good morning, Mary. I hope you had a nice week. Yeah, really nice week here in Switzerland. Getting to leave tomorrow morning. Should be home by early evening. Joe Lahote says, if you ever get to the States, let's play some golf. Yeah, that would be nice. SD Bullion is out of junk silver, says Lily Robin. John Norris, own land, get out of debt. The place I'm in, real estate is very expensive. And I learned this from my nephew because he's in the insurance business for the last 2 years. And he was telling me that the Swiss pensions here, part of the pensions, the law forces people to put money into real estate funds. So it's one of the reasons why real estate has been very strong in Switzerland. I had another story. I was down in this hotel. There's a small bar and a restaurant. It's not huge. It's a really nice hotel, but it's quite informal. And after dinner, I was having a drink at the bar, talking to the people who work here. And there's a couple of guests, and they're speaking in English. And they're talking about mortgage rates. And one of them said, I looked at a mortgage in December. I was going to fix it at 0.98%. Bear in mind, this is a Swiss mortgage. And then he said, and I didn't. and now it's up to 1.7. So, and then I started talking to them, and I didn't really get too much into details about things. But one thing, the guy who didn't take the cheap mortgage said, the world is a mess. We don't really know what's going to happen. And I said, I agree. And he said, no one, not even the experts, seem to know anything. So I thought that was quite interesting, anecdotal. Kickjack, thank you for your super chat. Would you go on the Duran geopolitical YouTube channel? Sure, I think I've heard of that channel. I wouldn't mind going, if they contact me. My degree at university was international relations with economics, and I graduated from a university in Geneva. I went to Florida, but I finished my university in Geneva. So geopolitics is something I studied quite a bit, not just economics. Tricky Dicky, thank you for your super chat. Rafi mentioned Russia considering switch to gold standard to mitigate sanctions. I also see Saudi Arabia thinking of selling oil. Yeah, I spoke about that earlier this week. Let's have a look at some more questions. Lily Robin, George Gammon did a video if Russia sells oil and gold. Yeah, it's not really his idea. It's a guy called Luke Groman, and I think it's a bit convoluted, that idea. I don't see the Russians selling their oil so cheaply. I think they're talking about selling, 1,000 barrels for just 1 ounce or something like that. I don't know. I'm not too concerned right now about all these expectations, Russia or China on the gold standard. I think it could happen, but I focus on the fundamentals and the fact that we have the inflation is not going to stop and the central bankers can't really tighten that much. Everything else is speculation, but Bingo Wings, Mary, do you think property land is going to keep rising? I mean, it depends on the area, but I think if interest rates or mortgage rates, like the guys here in Switzerland are talking about, keeps rising, it's going to slow down the property prices. But I think over the long term, generational, the very wealthy people, they have property, they have land. The only problem with it is the taxes and the upkeep. So that's what you have to think about. But I think, not saying that I don't think gold and silver do well, but they're money. But I think real estate, property, land are always good to have, much better than fiat currency in the bank. But everywhere it's different, of course. JP Millward says the Duran is really brilliant. So it looks like, yeah, I have heard of the channel. I haven't listened to them for a while. Echo, do you suppose the sacking of 800 PO was a geopolitical outcome? I saw that story. I haven't really read into it. I don't know how it would be geopolitical. I don't know who owns P&O now. No, I'm looking for silver kilo bars, tax refund, time looking. Teague Materi, thank you for your super chat. Have you looked into Jeff Booth? Really respect your ideas and would be nice to hear your thoughts on his thesis. No, I haven't looked into Jeff Booth. I haven't heard of him, to be honest. Danny Dan, thank you for your super chat. The US so weak, China is drooling over Taiwan. How much influence does Saudi Arabia have? Well, I think Saudi Arabia has influence, not as much as they used to, because they're not really the biggest oil producer anymore. But they still have a lot of big investments in the US because they've been recycling those petrodollars for 50 years. So I heard someone say about if the Saudis sell a lot of their US investments, it could really hurt the markets in the US. But they're probably not as important as they used to be maybe 10 years ago. And it looks like they're shifting towards more multipolar relationships like Russia and China, I would say. Ron Feltman says, Marius are a man. Keep up the great work, sir. Thank you. Baby Hulk says, no one wants to buy Russia's stockpile of gold. Yeah, I saw someone wrote that. Was it on Bloomberg or some mainstream media that no one will want to buy Russia's gold? I mean, they don't understand. It's just pure propaganda. I mean, we don't even have any gold in the UK. I mean, as a country, we only have 300 tons of reserves. Russia has 2,300. Jerome Bosman, any tips on decent mining companies? I recommend you look at the prospectus for GDX and GDXJ because they give you their major holdings. And that's how I do it. So yeah, GDX and GDXJ. All right, let's quickly have a look at this article here from the FT. Let's get to the subject of, well, I always have to choose a title, of course, for the live stream. But so Bill Gross warns Fed rate rise will crack the US economy. I agree with him 100% on that. Says former PIMCO Bond King predicts central bank will be unable to go above 2.5% to 3%. I think the average Fed governor or member of the FOMC expectation is for something around 2.8, as you see here, by 2023. Yeah, I think it's really impossible because the Fed's balance sheet and the economy is more leveraged than it's ever been. So, but I thought what he said here is really, how can I say, interesting. And this doesn't mean that I agree with everything, Bill Gross has done or thinks, but he said it destroys the savings function. Meme stocks and NFTs, non-fungible tokens, all of this nonsense in my mind has developed from the inability to earn a decent return in your 401k retirement plan. So you see, it says, dubbed the bond king for his decades of successful investing, Gross has been railing against low policy rates for years. So yeah, the other thing this does for, because the very wealthy, and this is what I wanted to talk about, the very wealthy, they have done well, not because they are making a lot of income. They might be making some income, but they're making more capital gains. It's very hard to get, a decent return, let's say 4 or 5% on a investment grade bond these days. And but the general public, the average person, I think is going to get even worse. And with all that's going on in the world, with the cost of living rising, people are going to be, especially with the baby boomers coming in, up until 2030, there's a lot of the baby boomers are retiring. It's going to be a tough world out there because unless we, I see the world going back to normal interest rates eventually, but just getting there is going to be very difficult. And the reason why they've destroyed capital or capitalism. And by capitalism, I don't mean, workers versus bosses and things like that, because I see capitalism as a free market, really, and where people work, work and capital is the same, in my opinion. If you work and you're able to save, savings is capital. So I think that's been kind of destroyed, and people have to more and more depend on speculation. They have to depend on maybe selling assets and living off the proceeds of assets. And the very wealthy have benefited from high asset prices, and that might not even hold up for them. So I agree with him on that. It's a scary world, I would say, because we're living longer on average. And if we're not able to have, a decent nest egg from which we can get a decent income every year, it's very hard. So, yeah. Now let's get back to the questions. I hope that wasn't too convoluted. Mem no is a little, it says we live on earth, there will be blood. All right. Belly dance Raven, God's money equals silver, gold alone, pure elements. Yeah, they've been chosen because they work well as money, not be, it's just the way it is. Paper currency controlled by governments and the banks, it's really a bad system. And unfortunately, we've been under it for so long that people don't know any better. And that's one of the reasons why I've been doing these videos, to try to get people to wake up about it. I mean, 25 years ago, I didn't really look into these things. I thought everything was normal. J.A. Johnson, what about GlintPay? Well, GlintPay, yeah, I have a referral code for them, and I've been, collaborating with them for about 4 years. I've done quite a few. If you go to my YouTube channel under videos, you can search for Glint. I've interviewed the CEO there several times. it's an option. They hold the gold allocated in your name here in Switzerland, in Zurich, in a vault. I've always said, though, that I prefer physical gold and silver, but some people like to have, the possibility or the convenience of using their gold to pay for things. Today, I went for lunch with my sisters and my mom, and we split the bill, and I used my Glint card. I showed it to my sister. I paid with a bit of gold, just over a gram. So, and it worked here, even though I think Glint is coming to Switzerland in terms they're going to offer the card this summer. GlintPay. You can have the app in Switzerland, but not the card yet. Sip of water. So those pictures here, they're from the area here. You see, in the winter, you get a lot of snow. There you go. Judah Finkelstein, Airbnbs near hospitals and rural areas that are cheap to buy make sense. Traveling nurses are the future. Healthcare, look for locations with few hotels. The other thing that I've been thinking about, because, we're all getting older, and, Switzerland is a beautiful country, but I've been living in the UK for 30 years. And so I know that things are not perfect anywhere, but sometimes you wonder, if moving hastily to another place without knowing, the ins and outs of that place, like the expenses, the taxes, and everything, you got to be really careful. It's tempting, but yeah, I think we, I'm not trying to say don't think outside the box or move somewhere, but maybe go to the place a few times, spend maybe a holiday there for a few weeks and see, meet the local people. What I'm trying to say, don't just like buy somewhere, some other place you don't know. So yeah, do your homework. Scott 49-140. If we were to use bullion coins for purchasing things, are they worth the amount you paid for it, or the amount written on it, on the coin? No, I mean, back in the day when they had gold and silver coins, for example, if they debased the coins, let's say when they debased the US coins from 90% to 40%, people knew that that $50 was not really worth the $50 of pre-1965. Gold and silver coins, it doesn't really matter what number they put on it. It's more the weight that counts, I would say. And you just have to look at it in weight, grams and ounces. Mary, I think this is time to stay put. Things, yeah, over here says that. I agree with you. You can't jump the gun. Things are still too uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. Lily Robin, what's all this old talk? I'm older than you. I was filing out a form, and it asked if I were elderly, and I had to Google elderly and Shazam, I'm an elderly. No, I know. I know what you mean. It's just that, my mom, for example, she's 85. She's doing all right, but I'm 57. So you have to really think long term. I think you gotta really be careful. I think I know in the UK the national health system is not very good, but it's still there. Here, I think you have to take, the system here is different. But anyway, Ben Gray, Mario, just had my diesel siphoned from my truck today. Not happy. Oh, so did someone steal your diesel? That's not good. Rolf Steiner says people in Belize told Prince William to go home, back to the UK. I saw someone on, I don't know where it was, on social media, and from the UK, and he said he was at the supermarket and he saw a pretty well-dressed middle-aged woman in the egg section, and she was taking out the she took out the cheap eggs from the cheap box of eggs and put the expensive eggs in the box. So she's basically stealing. I mean, she paid for the eggs, but she put the good eggs in the box. So that's what's going on. And I saw an article today as well, in the FT, talking about how to expect higher prices of milk. And I know in the UK we have our own milk, but if the world price goes up, we have to worry about it. Apparently, the price of feed for cows and fertilizers for the fields are getting more expensive. And apparently, I didn't know that. Apparently, New Zealand is the Saudi Arabia of milk. So yeah, everything is. I think I've spoken about this before from the book. The Death of Money and the hyperinflation in Germany and Central Europe in the early 1920s. One thing that became common was catastrophe. The word catastrophe, things that you thought, for example, when you thought things couldn't get worse, they did, and eventually even the word catastrophe became debased because everything was a catastrophe. Not trying to be negative, but yeah, we got to be prepared mentally for things to be bumpy. It's not going to be smooth as it was. And I think it's a symptom of the collapse of the dollar system. Not that the dollar will still be there, but the value of the dollar and the reserve status of the dollar is going to decrease a lot. Full of Hope says, don't forget Mother's Day next Sunday, Mario. Interesting you should say that, because in it's the only place that is going to have Mother's Day is the UK. Everywhere else, including here in Switzerland, it's on the first Sunday of May. But yeah, in the UK, it's next Sunday. So there you go. Hollywood Illusion, do you prefer pre-33 gold, or any gold will do? I have several coins. I have pre-33. Unfortunately, I don't have the 1933 double eagle, but yeah, I have all kinds of coins, nationalities, and yeah. But being in the UK, I try to stick to sovereigns, but I do have a few other ones. Mohammed Shaban says he's 32. Loads of drill attacks are happening on fuel tanks. Someone said here, I have 10 years on you. It hurts. Yeah, my mom showed me some pictures today that she had from when my sister got married, and there's pictures of me with my niece when she was a baby, and I was looking at them and I thought, wow, that was a long time ago. And I had a lot more hair as well. Can you please briefly explain the Great Reset, LG? I guess you mean this is the Klaus Schwab Great Reset. Well, basically they want to transform the world into a digital prison run by bankers. That's all, run by a small elite. That's what they want to do, the Great Reset. And they're just build back better. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to use these crises we're having now since 2020, COVID and now Ukraine as an excuse to go to the next level. Yeah, these people always use big crises to, change the world, because people are going to ask for solutions. I'm not falling for it, and I'm not sure it's going to work. It's too centralized. It's like the Soviet Union. And I think Rafi Faber has spoken about this. It's like the Tower of Babel, when the powers that be try to focus on one thing and not let the world be free, it never works. So I don't think the Great Reset will work. And then there's also a current, a market reset. That's completely different. It's like a financial reset. I think we're going to have that one. And that will happen, it happens every 40 years or so, I would say, a financial reset. The last one was in 1980, when the Dow to gold ratio was around 1 to 1. Prior to that, it was in 1932 or 33, when the Dow to gold ratio got down to 2. Right now, we're around 16. But when we get to 1 to 1, I think that means it will be the rebalancing of the scales from financialization into real things. That's the way I see the world. And I think it will be a better world, because we have a very small elite, the financiers, the hedge fund guys. And I'm not really blaming them for this. It's just the way the system has been designed since 1971. You have a very few people controlling all the wealth and paper assets, and people who do actually real work and have real things, they're getting screwed, basically. And I think that's why things are as bad as they are for the general public. And the symptom of that is what Bill Gross said, that they've destroyed savings. Yeah, because it's all so financialized. Over here, did you bring any sovereign gold coins with you? No, I didn't. No, I didn't really, need to. Luckily, I didn't have to pay for accommodation. Paid for a few dinners, but not much. So I bought a few presents for my sisters, my mom, and my nephew, because actually my nephew had his birthday recently, and my sister was the 16th, and that was about it. Ben Grace has lost about 70 liters, 120 pounds, but they didn't drill a hole in the tank. Full of hope. My daughter studies in Portsmouth. She got instructions on radiation, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, I saw a little article in the FT. People are talking about iodine pills, and here in Switzerland, all the houses have a bomb shelter. And I joked with my sister today when we got out of the garage. We parked the car in the garage in the basement, and we walked past the bomb shelter. And I said, "Have you got any iodine pills?" And she laughed. But I don't think it. Hopefully, not going to get that bad. Who knows? Tim Gibson, thank you for your super chat. Get down, Mario. Get down. Butch Michael, this is the best group of people on YouTube. Thank you. Yeah, I had the Mike and Mario show. I posted it yesterday. It's doing really well. I used to only get about 6,000 to 7,000 views, and we got about 20,000 so far. So just keep going, I guess. Lily Robin had her wedding anniversary on March 16th. Mine is August 7th. And we got, my wife and I, my wife is English, but she wanted to get married here because my parents were living here at the time. So yeah, it was 1993. So next year will be the 30th anniversary, our 30th anniversary. Michael John Scott, any particular reason why you prefer gold sovereigns over gold Britannias? I just prefer the fact that they're smaller and they're, yeah, you can't break up a gold Britannia, but you can have 4 sovereigns, and that's worth about a Britannia. That's the only reason why. I do have some Britannias, though. They're basically more divisible. They have the same status, like you said, though. They're legal tender. Harry Chu, are you playing the stock market? I have gold and silver mining stocks and some commodity stocks as well, non-gold and silver. Yeah, I'm trying to, yeah, I've had that position for over 12 months and it's starting to do well now, despite the fact that gold and silver have corrected a little bit. My mining stocks are actually doing quite well. Hiroshima Day, I think that was August 5th. Yeah, I got married August 7th. You could Hiroshima, Nagasaki, yeah, that was around that time. Mark Starr, if we're going into hyperinflation in the UK, will countries that already had hyperinflation like Argentina come out of this quicker or suffer hunger and death? Best place to move to. As I said earlier in this live stream, I think you need to stay put, really, unless you're a multi-billionaire or a multi-millionaire and you can travel around and you have places everywhere. I would stay put. I think Argentina, countries like Brazil, Lebanon, this is normal for them. So I think they will cope better. Us in the West, in the UK, US, I don't think, I mean, the US, the last time you had hyperinflation was during the Civil War. And prior to that, the Revolutionary War. And in the UK, I guess you had very high inflation in the 70s. So many people haven't experienced it yet. But I think it's even here in Switzerland, people are talking about prices. I noticed, a few years ago, you had a coffee, a cup of coffee after dinner, or if you go to a bar and you ask for a coffee, it was about just over 2 francs. Now it's over 4 francs to have they call it cafe creme, which is just an American coffee with a bit of cream. It's now over 4 francs. So it's happening everywhere. First Majestic, yeah, I have those, that company. Doug Casey likes Uruguay. Yeah, I mean, I've had family relatives that lived in Uruguay. Uruguay is a small, it's a very small country. It's only 3 million people. It's a bit like, yeah, it's fairly European for South America. Elias Jones, thank you for your super chat. Small series on pros, cons of bimetallism, please. Well, I actually think it's a good thing having bimetallism, as long as governments don't try to fix, the rate between gold and silver. And why do I think it's good? Well, because then you have more liquidity. I think silver is great money for the general public. People, gold is usually for the wealthier. They have a lot of silver. So if you only stick to a gold standard, I don't think that's good. And you could even say you could have copper as well, a tri-metallic standard. Your thoughts on gold royalty companies? Yeah, I don't have any, but I guess they're good. Is that like Franco-Nevada? Yeah, I personally think um, any company with gold or mining on it, once we get the move higher uh, in the miners, in bullion, they're all going to do well. Of course, some are going to do better than others, but it's going to be a little bit like in the 90s, when you had the dot-com bubble. You could buy anything with dot-com and it would go up. But yeah, that's the way I feel about it. But you can still, choose. SC, can we still avoid hyperinflation? I don't think so. I think the only way to avoid hyperinflation is for the central banks to raise rate massively. The Fed can't just be doing 25 basis points. They have to do about 250 basis points. Rates need to be at least 5% if they want to think about slowing inflation. So, and they're not going to do that. So that's why, yeah, they might engineer a crisis and basically, yeah, no, I don't think they can, because I think people are going to start losing faith and confidence in the currency, because they're going to say, I'm going to buy this now because everything's going up. I'm not going to wait till April or June to buy this. I'm going to buy it now. And when you get that mentality, then any cash you have, extra cash, after you paid your expenses, you're going to try to get rid of it for something real. Fed's balance sheet, Conspiracy Burger wants to hear my thoughts on it. Well, I noticed that last week it went up. It's almost at 9 trillion, and they're supposed to have stopped increasing it. Whether it's a lie, their balance sheet, I don't know. I mean, that's the public numbers they give us. They could always use FASB 56 as an excuse to hide other stuff off balance sheet, because they're just like a bank. So they probably have derivatives positions, and that's what swaps are. When they do swaps with other central banks, that's a derivative. So we will never know, but that's off balance sheet. Yes, they could have trillions of dollars in nominal derivatives with other central banks, or even with other banking institutions in the US that we don't know about, but that's off balance sheets. I always found it funny because I worked in the city in derivatives, futures and options, and for some reason, derivatives are kept off balance sheets of companies, which I think is pretty, that's why we had the '08 crisis when the derivatives bomb exploded and Lehman collapsed. Not many people knew how much derivatives Lehman was exposed to because it's off balance sheet. Alain Roy says, what if central banks reevaluated gold? I think they will eventually have to do it, Alain Roy. Alain, sorry. It's just that it's going to be the last thing they want to do, because they hate gold and they hate admitting it that it's important. But yes, they will need to let it revalue eventually to reliquify the banking system, because as I spoke in the Mike and Mario show yesterday, even here in Switzerland, they want to pass laws for bail-ins and bailouts. They're talking about it now in the federal government or agency in Switzerland. Lauren says, have you interviewed Brecht Arnert recently? No, I haven't interviewed him recently. I contacted him a month or two ago and he couldn't do it. But yeah, I like Brecht. I have interviewed him before. I need to get a hold of him maybe. Dan Hug Hees. Thanks, Mario. While in Switzerland, keep working for the channel. Miss Billy. Yeah, I miss Billy too. Well, the thing about doing what I do, I can do this here from anywhere. And of course, I haven't really maybe, followed things as closely as when I'm at home because, I've come to see my mom, my sisters, and my family, and I hadn't seen them for a while. It's a little bit of a relax, more relaxing, but it's not a problem doing a video every day. It's only about 15 to 20 minutes. And yeah, Ben Gray is in Cardiff. All right. Do you think Fort Knox is empty? Probably. They probably have a little bit of gold, but not as much as they say. And they could have a lot of that gold there is hypothecated or encumbered, which means they probably have leased it. So they'll have to buy back those leases, and what that will do is drive the price higher. Full of hope. Switzerland has a strange regional voting system, question mark. Well, Switzerland is a very decentralized country. Their federal government, I think only, the power of the federal government in Bern is just for the military, foreign affairs, and not much else. The cantons, which are like the states, they're quite powerful. So there you go. Yeah, they have different tax rates as well, each canton. And even within the cantons, the local communities, they're fairly powerful as well. Where I am now, for example, they've tried to build McDonald's here, and no way, you will never see a McDonald's where I am in Switzerland, because the local community here says no to it. But there are other places in Switzerland where they do have McDonald's. Oh, JP Millward is just talking about McDonald's. He says, have you noticed how McDonald's advertised with a whistle sounds, summoning the dogs to the bowl? I haven't, because I don't watch. Yeah, I haven't seen a McDonald's advert recently. Sean Bird is asking, how much do you make per video? Well, not really, it's my business, so I'm not going to tell you. How much do you make, Sean? What's your salary? Why you're going to ask me? Blast from the past. Your interview with Michael Oliver was very interesting and eye-opening. Yeah, I like Michael Oliver. He's, I think he started in the business like I did in the futures market. I think his boss was actually the head of Comex at the time. I think he joined the business in 1975, just as gold was being made legal in the US. Damien Wright, just wondering if you ever bought the 2 suits you intended pre-COVID. Well, I bought one. I did. I bought a suit, tailored suit, and because I was going to go to, Brecht Arnaert, the guy from Belgium. They were going to organize an investment conference in Breda in the Netherlands, and I was supposed to go in March of 2020. So the suit was ready for me to go. I had booked a flight, but then they had to cancel the conference. I was going to talk about the bond market, actually, not gold and silver, because I worked in the bond markets, and he wanted someone to talk about bonds. Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't make it there. There's only one way. Thank you for your super chat. Let me just see here. The Swiss are not neutral anymore after putting sanctions as the proof that the globalists have taken over. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to read too much into that, because Switzerland has done other things under pressure from the Americans before. But I still think they're still pretty neutral. I know it's not a good thing, and it could be more symbolic than anything. Scott 49 140, what part of Switzerland are you in? I'll tell you the region is the Bernese Oberlands. That's where I am. Where the Bernese dogs come from, you know. They're nice dogs. I like the Bernese dogs. MW351, tell you gotta get at least 500,000 subscribers to make anything on YouTube. All right. Sarah Brown, yeah, I would say just about in the UK, an ounce of gold. It's probably you know, a really nice suit is probably more than you won't get one. You can get a decent one, tailored, but yeah, it's getting, you know, I think we need to see, you know, Savo. I don't have a Savile Row suit, but I think that's probably more than 3,000 pounds. Helsinki, do you see any other way out of this mess other than revaluing gold and silver? No, yeah, I agree with you. There isn't, you know, and they're not going to do it. uh, you know, they're going to only do it kicking and screaming, as the saying goes, because as Alan Greenspan said, statists hate gold, and they hate an honest money system because it means they can't like print money and create money out of thin air for their pet projects. Because when you have sound money, it's very difficult to tax people and very difficult to spend because you don't have a credit card that you can use whenever you want. And yeah, eventually, yeah, nothing ever changes. We will go back to gold and silver in some fashion. Don't know exactly which one. Kickjack, no, not advice, but what miners do you have and why? I've said before, you know, if you want to know more details about the miners I have, uh, you know, you can join my Patreon for just $1 a month. That's the minimum. But as I've told someone here early in the live stream, you know, the miners I have, you'll find them probably in the GDX and GDXJ prospectus. They have a whole list of their holdings. That's what I've done in the past. You know, one strategy that I do is, let's say I look at the prospectus, I'll take one company that is quite a big cap, mid cap, and low cap, even within GDX and GDXJ, try to mix it up. Look at the geography. That's important these days. You know, if you buy a miner in Russia, if you had some miners that had operations in Russia, you haven't done well. Case in point is Petropavlovsk, or which is a POGLN in London. It's a UK-based company, but it's dropped like a rocket because you're not allowed to buy anymore because their mining operations are in Russia. So check geography maybe as well, you know, do a little bit of homework on that. Thank you. Again, there's only one way. Are you aware Switzerland shot down American planes in World War II? Mark Felton, Switzerland. No, I'm not aware of that. I didn't know that Switzerland shot down American planes in World War II. Thoughts on Swiss central bank buying US public stocks? I think it's crazy. They have a lot of NASDAQ stocks. Yeah, they've done that because they have to keep pace with the ECB. So if they don't do QE, the Swiss franc would be probably, you know, I think the euro Yeah, the Swiss franc would be like €1.50, and the Swiss franc would be like, the dollar would be like 70 cents. But right now the dollar is still, 94 Swiss cents. So that's why they're doing the QE. I think it's a bad policy. But they do it because if they didn't do it, it would probably kill a lot of the tourism in Switzerland, because people from abroad wouldn't be able to come here. So who knows what's right? I just don't think central banks are the right thing to do. But if you're living in a world where every other country is inflating, it's difficult not to inflate. Yes, the Swiss central bank does buy US public stocks. Fenton Naranja, I watched a documentary called Floored about open outcry trading. It was very interesting. It looks like a stressful environment. For some reason, I'm drawn to it. Yeah, I remember when I started in the futures market in 1992, I was hired by one of the biggest brokers, futures brokers. Well, probably the biggest broker, English broker in London. And but I was hired to work in the office. I was a broker, but yeah, I had colleagues down on the live floor trading in the pit. And when you when you start out and you see that, it looks all very confusing and stressful, but there's a method to that madness, actually. The hand signals and everything. I even learned the hand signals because even in the office, we had one person, it was called the link, one person that was didn't have clients, and they spoke to, let's say, the German Bund's future pit or booth. And when it got busy in the office, everyone is trying to give orders to that same person. You had to say, if you wanted to trade, and the symbol for Bunds was this, why? And then if you had to sell 100 at market, you went like this, and you went 100 at market. So I learned the hand signals. It was a really interesting market, uh, open outcry. And then the screen started taking over in the late 90s, and it's completely different. And they can manipulate the markets a lot more through the screens because no one sees who's doing what. On the floor of an exchange, people were wearing the JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or, whatever broker's jacket. And you could see if JP Morgan tried to spoof, you could see that they're trying to do that. So yeah. Vince Grant, thank you for your super chat. Do you like Sprott Uranium or any uranium stocks? I haven't looked into uranium. I did have Cameco some years ago, but no, maybe I will look into it. I mean, some people have mentioned uranium, but I stick to precious metals. Maybe there is an opportunity in uranium. I'll have a look. Mark Volker, thank you for your super chat. Oh, there's a funny story about the live floor, which was the London International Financial Futures Exchange. And the company I worked for, GNI, that we were in the same building. So it was really easy to go down there and, see my colleagues. And when we had clients come and visit, we used to take them for a tour of the floor. And I remember in 1997, Tony Blair was elected prime minister, and he went down on to the floor of the live floor, and he got booed really badly. And people were, they have the little trading cards, they write the trades, they're flipping the trading cards at Tony Blair on the floor. So that's an interesting story. And we could hear, I was talking to my colleagues. I said, what's going on down there? And he said, well, Tony Blair is here, and he's been booed and heckled. That's how much they liked him down there. Palladium up, shortage, question mark. I have looked at palladium. Yeah, I think the Russian situation has impacted palladium. It's very volatile. You've got to be careful with palladium. It is a precious metal, but it's not a monetary one. Got another 4 minutes. Pelosi, the most successful trader in the world. I see some comments about Biden and stuff and Putin. One thing I feel right now is that I mean, at least me, I'm not advising people, but I'm trying to avoid getting too bogged down on politics and these people, because I think they're just puppets, and we got to focus on what's important, our livelihoods, our businesses, our family, and our finances. And because they don't want you, they want you focusing on things that drain a lot of energy from you. So anyway. John Norris says, thanks, Mario, and thanks for this platform with best chat in YouTube. Well, thank you. You're welcome, Belly Dense Arabia. There's only one way. Thank you again. Please watch Mark Felton, Switzerland. I think I've heard that name before. There's also Sweden as well. They're supposed to be neutral during World War II. And I'm not trying to detract attention from Switzerland, because they did a lot of things that weren't good. But Sweden, I think they allowed the Wehrmacht, the German army, to go through Sweden when they invaded Norway. But from what I know about Switzerland as well, a lot of wealthy Jews were able to come and stay here. Maybe not just wealthy Jews, but some Jews were able to come here as a safe haven. But some people say that all the warring factions, they always keep their wealth in Switzerland. That could be true, and that's why it's neutral. I think Switzerland, the last time it fought a war, was the Napoleonic Wars. I think Napoleon invaded Geneva, for example. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. Can you explain what a financialized economy is? When did it start in the US? What will happen to it when the dollar implodes? Thanks. Well, financialized means that it's a credit-based economy. Not saying that there isn't credit all the time in an economy, but it's like prior. I would say it started after Paul Volcker really, let rates go to 20, and he kind of didn't kill inflation. He decreased the rate of inflation or disinflation, and from then on, you've had the financial sector become bigger and bigger. And because prior to that, in the normal economy, I would say, or normalish, the financial part and the money is like the tail, and the dog is the main economy. In the financialized economy, the tail wags the dog, so to speak, and that's what's happened. And I think also during the Clinton administration and outsourcing all the jobs, the NAFTA, allowing China into the WTO, America outsourced a lot of its manufacturing jobs, its wealth producing jobs offshore. They did the same thing in the UK, and we've become an economy where dependent on higher asset prices, higher real estate prices, and people feeling wealthy about, feeling wealthy that just because their house prices go up. That's a financialized economy. And I think if that goes away, it's going to be very painful, but it's going to be good in the long term, because it's not normal to have, it's basically the analogy would be an economy where people just use their credit cards. I know I don't use a credit card anymore, but generally speaking, so hopefully that helped. Just one more question here from There's Only One Way. I angry when Switzerland put sanctions on Russia. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. And yes, tomorrow morning, I'm going back to the UK. I won't be doing a video tomorrow morning because I don't have much time in the morning. But that's not the end of the world. I'll be back on Tuesday. And thank you, everyone, for participating, and have a great rest of the weekend, or a great start to the week if you're in Japan, like Rumpelstiltskin, and elsewhere like Australia or New Zealand. Thank you. Bye.